Hi there, it's Paulina here at DeNami Design, and today I'm going to be doing a video showing you how to create a card from start to finish. So let me show you what the card is actually going to look like. Here's the card. As you can see, there is 4 different stamps here. In the background we have the N137 teeny star background. Then we have the Celebrate circle, which is I-58. Here we have D138 Patriotic Chickie. And then these little stars here is A92, the teeny star. So let's get started. For the first thing, we're going to use a white piece of cardstock, and here it is measuring 3 7/8 by 4 3/8. And we're going to stamp the background. So I'm going to just put this piece of cardstock underneath. And then here's the stamp. And we're going to stamp it in the Majestic Blue VersaFine ink. So I'm just going to ink my stamp up, and if you flip it over and do it this way, you can see that your ink covers the stamp really well. We're going to ink it up again. I'm just going to move this up a little bit. And then here you can see the tops of the stamps, and that's where I'm going to know where to line up my image. Okay, we have just a little bit left at the bottom. I'm just going to ink up the top part of the stamp. And again, I'm just looking at the rubber to make sure it lines up with the other stars. So you can see here that all of them are lined up. And I'm going to set the stamp aside, then we're going to toss this. So here is the first panel, and then I'm going to mount it to the navy cardstock that I have here, and this one is measuring 4 by 4 1/2. So I'm going to use my ATG dispenser, and we're just going to go across all the corners and edges. Okay. So I'm just going to line up my cardstock. I just want to make sure it's centered here. Okay, so there's my panel. And then next I'm going to do the circle. So here is just a white piece of scratch paper. Here's my Celebrate circle, and I'm going to stamp that in the satin red VersaFine. And you'll notice that I did it close to the edge so I can easily punch it out with my Marby. And then I'm going to use the Patriotic Chickie, and we're going to stamp it in the Majestic Blue again. You just want to make sure it's centered. Okay, and then now I have the teeny star, and we're just going to add it to the little white spaces that we have here. Okay, so I've added the stars. I'm just going to quickly just clean up my stamps so they don't get stained. And here's that. I'm just using a baby wipe, so I'm just going to clean up those stamps. Okay, and then now I'm going to punch out the circle. So this one, the Celebrate goes with the 2-inch Marby punch. So I'm flipping my punch over, and I can see exactly where I'm going to be punching. Once I know it's centered, I just punch out. Here we go. And then we're going to frame it in just a red cardstock. So I'm going to use my 2 1/2 inch. Okay, now we're just going to adhere these together. Okay. And then here is my base. So this is measuring 4 1/4 by 4 3/4 when it's folded. So altogether it's 8 1/2, and then here's the 4 3/4. Okay, so then here is the panel that we're going to add. And before we actually adhere it to the base, I'm going to be sure to add my grosgrain so then it can all adhere together. So I have the 5/8 navy grosgrain ribbon, And I'm just going to wrap it around this panel here. And then I'm just going to be creating a bow. So, okay. And when I do it this way, I can know that I'm not wasting as much ribbon as if I just cut it off of the spool. So I'm kind of just eyeing and kind of know how much ribbon I'll need. And I will have to throw some of it away, but here at least I won't have to waste as much. Okay, so then I'm going to just create my bow, and we're going to make sure we don't pull too tight whereas it bends the top and the bottom of this piece of cardstock. So here you can see it's bent just a little bit. And then we're going to create our bow. And if you have trouble tying bows, we actually have another video on the channel where you can take a look and see how we do our bows a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to fidget with the bow a little bit to see how big I want it. And this, you're just going to want to make sure you press in the middle, and that's going to make sure the center of the bow stays tight. So here I'm just fluffing up the ribbon, and this is the part that actually takes the longest. I'm just going to play around. Okay, and then we're just going to cut off the excess. So I like to cut mine off at a slight angle. Just makes the cards look a little bit more pretty. Okay, so there's the bow. And now we're going to adhere adhesive to the back, and this is, we're going to put it to the base. So we're just going to use the ATG again and go across. And if you want to make sure the ribbon doesn't move, you can do another layer of adhesive there. Okay, and you can see that the bow flattened a little bit, which is okay. We'll just fluff it up at the end. Okay, so there is the base. And then now we're going to grab our circle and we're going to get our foam mounting tape. So I just tore off a little piece. I'm just going to add that to the back of my circle. And we'll just save the rest for another time. Okay, and then now we're just going to adhere the circle to the base. So once you see where you like it, just make sure you press it down nice and tight. And then we're going to fluff up our row a little bit. So if you see that you like it like this, or if you want it just a little bit smaller, again, you could just keep on playing with it until it's just the way you want it. Okay, so I'm going to cut off the ends again. Okay, so there is my bow, and then now I'm going to just dress up the bow just a tiny bit. So I'm adding some buttons, and as you can see, I just used two separate buttons. One's the red, and then this is the white, and I adhere them together with some twine. I'm just going to wrap the twine around the bow. You can just make sure the ends are pretty close to being even. And then we're just going to knot it twice. And that's going to keep the bow in place. So, I'm going to knot it once. Make sure it's nice and tight so it doesn't move. We're going to knot it again. So we're going to knot it and then just go right underneath the bow. Okay. So we're going to play with this. And like I said, this is the part that takes the longest, is the bow. Okay, now we can just cut off the excess twine. And then if you wanted to, you can add some extra glitter, or if you wanted to actually color in the Chickie, you can do that. I like it the way it is just because it looks really patriotic, and it just has the red, white, and blue and just a tiny bit of craft along the edges. So there's a quick and simple card. It's great for all occasions. You can do it for the 4th of July. You can do it if somebody's coming back from being in the Army or the reserves or anything like that. This is a great card. You can also just switch it out. You can do the celebrate and switch out the celebrate for another kind of thing. We have a congratulations this size, so that you can use that for another thing as well. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to head over to the DeNami website and the blog for more card ideas. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.